Boomer Sooner, everybody. My name's Harry James, one of the most memorable Sooners to play and wear the Crimson and Cream. Buddy Hield from the Bahamas, and they'll head back to his Bahamas for the Battle for Atlantis competition. The Sooners will actually have an on-campus site game to start off. It'll be against Wolford, a really good team that finished 21-13 last year, 11-7 in the SoCon tournament. Then they'll head down to the real core of the Battle for Atlantis, where they'll play Florida, that finished 21-13, 11-7 in league play last year. Stanford, who finished 19-6, 11-7 last year. And Wisconsin was also in on their bracket. They finished 18, 11-7 in league play, Big Ten play last year. The other bracket will be Butler out of the Big East, 21-13, 11-7 in Big East play. The Dayton Flyers, 14-17, 8-10 and 8-10 play. Virginia, 31-3, 7-1 in ACC play. And Middle Tennessee State, 25-8, 16-2 in Conference USA. A preview of the entire Battle for Atlantis brackets. All of it next. Boomer Sooner 1982. Don't go away. To the show, everybody. My name's Harry James. The Oklahoma Sooners have entered their Battle for Atlantis tournament time, where they will have an on-campus site. It'll start on campus against Wolford, the Terriers of Wolford, 21-13, 11-7 in the SoCon Valley Conference. They lost to Central Michigan in the College Invitational Tournament last year, second round. They lost at 98-94. Their head coach is Mike Young, a 1986 graduate from Every and Henry, and is in his 17th year at Wolford. He's trying to get his team back on track, and this will help having number 3 Fletcher McGee and number 33 Cameron Jackson back. Fletcher McGee averaged 22.1 points per ballgame last year, while averaging 2.9 rebounds and 1.7 assists per ball game last year for the Terriers. While they also have number 33, Cameron Jackson, who averaged 12.0 points per ball game, 5.9 boards, and 1.6 assists per ball game last year for the Terriers of Wolford. Next, the main Battle for Atlantis. These games will be played in the Bahamas. First one will be for sure in the Oklahoma bracket. We'll go over the Oklahoma bracket first. Where Oklahoma and Florida will play. Florida 21-13, 11-7 in Big 12 in SEC play. Lost to a Big 12 team, 69-66 in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Their head coach is Michael White, is a 1999 grad from Ole Miss, the Rebels, and is in his 14th year chomping at the gate with the Gators. They have number 2, Jalen Hudson back, and number 2, Kavion Allen. We'll start with Jalen Hudson, number 2, averaging 15.5 points per ball game, 1.9 rebounds, and 1.1 assists per ball game last year for the Gators. While the Gators also have Kavonte Allen back, number 5, Kavon Allen, 11.0 points per ball game, 2.4 rebounds, and 2.4 assists per ball game is what he averaged last year for the Gators. The other game, the other half of the bracket that Oklahoma's not in, but they're still on this bracket, includes Stanford, the Cardinal, last year 19-16, 11-7 in Pac-12 play. They did lose to our buddies to the north, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. The Aggies got them 71-65 last year in the second round of the men's NIT. Their head coach, Jared Haas. Mr. Haas is a 1997 grad from Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU, and is in his third year in charge of the Cards. Trying to get the Cards back again this year to the big tournament will be a little easier with two leading scorers returning, double-digit leading scorers returning. Juwan Davis and Keze Okopala. We'll start with number 1, Juwan Davis, averaging a 10.7 points per ball game last year for the Cards, while averaging 4.4 boards and 4.8 assists per ball game last year for the Cards. They also will have KZ Okopala, 10.0 points per ball game, 3.7 rebounds, and 1.8 assists per ball game last year for the Cards of Stanford. Oklahoma's bracket half of the bracket also consists of the Badgers of Wisconsin and the Badgers, 15-18, 11-17 in Big Ten play. Their loss was to Michigan State in the NCAA tournament, 63-60. Their head coach is Greg Ward in his fourth year in charge of Wisconsin. They have Ethan Harp and Brad Davidson returning for Wisconsin. We'll start with Ethan Harp, averaging 17.9 points per ball game, 8.0 boards, and 3.7 assists per ball game last year for the Badgers. They also have Brad Davidson for the Badgers, 12.0 points per ball game, 2.5 boards, and 2.5 assists per ball game last year for the Badgers. Next will come the Oklahoma Sooners, the fourth team in their bracket. 21-14, 9-9 in league play last year. Lost to Rhode Island in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Their head coach is Lon Kruger, a 1974 grad from Kansas State, and is in his 8th year in charge of the Oklahoma brand. Helping him get the Jordan brand back, our version of the Jordan brand, back to the tournament. Back where it needs to be. Will get easier with two double-digit scorers returning from last year. But the only difference, Aaron Calixte, not part of the team last year. Who was part of the team, though? Christian James. We'll start with the newbie, Aaron Calixte, number 2 for the Sooners. Number 2, Aaron Calixte last year averaged 16.9 points per ball game, 3.1 boards, 3.2 assists last year as a grad, but this year he's from the Pacific, transferred into Oklahoma. But number 0, Christian James, didn't have to transfer in. He was already here. Last year, averaging 11.9 points per ball game, 5.1 rebounds, and 0.5 assists per ball game last year for the Sooners of Oklahoma. The other part of the Atlantis bracket for Oklahoma is Butler, Dayton, Virginia, and Middle Tennessee. We'll start with Butler and the Bulldogs that last year finished it with a 21-13 overall record. A conference Big East record, 11-7. They lost to Purdue in their second round tournament of the NCAA tournament, that is. Their head coach is Lavoie Jordan, who's a 1999 grad from Ole Miss, and is in his second year in charge of Butler. He has number 3, Kamar Baldwin, and number 5, Paul Jorgensen returning. We'll start with 3, Kamar Baldwin, averaging 15.7 points per ball game, 4.9 rebounds, and 3.2 assists per ball game last year for the Bulldogs. While they also have number 5, Paul Georgian, averaging 10.2 points per ball game, 3.1 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per ball game last year for the Dogs. The Dayton Flyers are next out of the A10 conference. 14-17, 8-10 in the A10. They lost in their A10 second round matchup. They lost that game to Virginia Commonwealth. Remember that? Where Jeff Capel's from? Yeah, that school. Their current head coach at Dayton, by the way, Anthony Grant, 1987 grad from Dayton College, and is in his second year in charge of his alma mater. Trying to get his alma mater back won't be easy, but it gets easier when you have not one, but 2 big-time double-digit leading scorers returning, like Joshua Cunningham, number 0, and number 3, Trey Landers. Starting with 0, Josh Cummington, averaging 15.6 points per ball game, 8.4 rebounds, and 1.7 assists per ball game last year for the Flyers. While they also have number 3, Trey Landers, averaging 11.3 points per ball game, 5.6 rebounds, and 1.8 assists per ball game last year for the Flyers. The other half of the bracket, Virginia and Middle Tennessee, both 25-26 game winners last year. In fact, Virginia 31-13, 17-1 in ACC play. UMBC got them in the first round of the men's tournament, 74-54. That was actually the first number 1 seed to ever go down on the men's half. But they're not a bad team with their coach, Tony Bennett, out of Wisconsin Green Bay. Graduated from there in 1992, and Coach Bennett is in his 9th year in charge of the Cavs. With the Cavs finishing with a 31-3 record, you would imagine Virginia, not a bad team to have in there to help you with double-digit leaders. And they have double-digit leading scorers returning also. Kyle Guy, number 5, and number 11, Ty Jerome. We'll start with 5, Kyle Guy. 14.1 points per ball game last year, 2.6 boards, 1.5 assists per ball game is what he averaged last year for the Cavs. While Ty Jerome averaged 10.6 points per ball game, 3.1 rebounds, and 3.9 assists per ball game last year for the Cavs. And finally, Middle Tennessee State out of Conference USA. 25-8 last year, 16-2 in Conference USA. Lost to Louisville in the second round of the NIT, 84-68. Their head coach, Nick McDevitt, out of UNC Asheville, a 2001 graduate, and is in his first year in charge of MTSU and the Blue Raiders. Now, with a 25-8 record and 16-2, you would expect him to have a really good team coming back. But a lot of those guys were juniors and seniors, proving that point. Carl Gumbel and James Hawthorne return, but neither one of them are double-digit scorers returning. In fact, Carl Gamble is their leading returning scorer with just 3.9 points per ball game, 3.9 rebounds, and 0.2 assists per ball game last year for the Blue Raiders. While they also have number 4, James Hawthorne, averaging 2.2 points per ball game, 1.3 rebounds, and 0.7 assists per ball game last year for the MTSU Blue Raiders. All right, guys, that was a preview of the Battle for Atlantis tournament. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Post game coming up in a few weeks, or next week. My name's Harry James. You can catch this and all my other videos on YouTube, Boomer Sooner 1982. Also on Facebook, Harry James Taylor, or on the Twitter at Hype Man Harry. All right, guys, that'll do it. enjoy this week of college basketball. My name's Harry James, and I'm out of here. Boomer Sooner, guys.